If you clicked on this video, you're probably already asking yourselves, what the hell is the trauma baby trope or the trauma bully trope? And I am not going to waste no time explaining this because I hate the freaking long ass intros that most YouTubers do. The trauma baby or the trauma bully trope is a trope that I have discussed as a fan-made term that I literally just invented right now, where essentially is a trope that I like to call when certain characters in certain pieces of media tend to be asshole characters or be very mean to other characters or act a certain way, mainly due to insecurities or literally just act like assholes because their trauma somehow gives the trauma is the main reason for why they act a certain way. And the story tries to make you feel sympathetic for them, like, oh my gosh, his friends died, and oh my goodness, that's why he's such a mean person. The main issue with this is that it usually feels very heavy-handed, like the author or the creator of a series or show is trying really hard, holding a sign above the head of the character, like, guys, please feel bad for me, please. I am just a sweet, innocent character. I'm just a little guy who is totally fine, and I totally should feel bad for me because bad things happen to me. So I'm just gonna be an asshole because I have trauma. But I know this is gonna cause a bigger question for you all. But Seb, why do you call them the trauma baby or the trauma bully? Well, mainly because every time you try to give criticism for these characters, people will come up to you and try to baby the character and say, you just don't understand their character. They're traumatized, so that's why they do a certain thing. So basically, they're just babying the character and trying to justify why they're being a terrible human being and being such a jerk to other characters or just acting a very dumb way. Essentially, babying them. And don't get me wrong, you are allowed to do asshole characters in the story. It's perfectly fine. But you can't have it in a way of where you are seemingly justifying all their actions for being an asshole and expecting everyone to be like, oh yeah, we're cool with that, I guess. Because most of the time when it's used on characters that are either if it comes off as one note, or that's literally all they do is just they're an asshole and that's their whole character. Literally, this is the reason why a character like Jax isn't appealing to me, is because the fact that is literally all Jax does, is that his whole gimmick is that he is an asshole to everybody and that he is mean to everybody, and that's all he does. That is literally his whole character in the Amazing Digital Circus, is that he is an asshole because his two friends died. And that is it. But the problem with this and why I don't like the trauma baby trope is that you can't do the trauma baby trope when there are characters that have suffered worse than the character that is the trauma baby. Literally, in the same show, we have Kinger, who lost his wife, was one of the first people involved in the digital circus, watched almost everyone that he knew died, lost his wife, got literal brain damage, and then you have a character like Ragatha, who also was in the circus longer than Jax, and then lost more people than Jax probably did, and they are not asshole characters. I know Kinger has amnesia and has brain problems because of Kane, but let's not talk about that. That's not relevant. But the show tries so hard to make you feel bad for Jax, like, oh my gosh, Jax lost two friends. And then in the same show, in the same episode, reveal that Kinger has lost tons of other people, more than Jax, and Ragatha too. And you're expecting me to be like, oh yeah. And these characters aren't assholes. So the justification falls flat because it just makes Jax seem like a fucking baby. Or you have a character like Bakugo, who literally told Deku to off himself on the first episode and literally just hates Deku because he is quirkless and he thinks he's better than Deku. And the problem with it, and he is insecure, so that's why he is such an asshole. But then you see other characters who had way worse life than Bakugo not act like assholes, so it just comes off as Bakugo being a fucking baby. And yes, I am aware that Bakugo gets better throughout the story and gets a redemption, because unlike the Amazing Digital Circus, Bakugo had like over 7 seasons that get better. But my main issue with Bakugo is the fact that when you try to criticize the character, how Bakugo used to act, people will justify it with like, oh, he's just a kid. He didn't know any better. He was insecure. Okay, cool. that still doesn't justify. You're still an asshole. Sad backstory, still murder. What do you want me to say to that? Just because you have a sad backstory doesn't justify everything. Because keep in mind, in this same series, we have a character like Shoji, who literally was abused for how he looked, and he didn't become a bad human being who screamed "die" to everyone 15 billion times, and that's all he says in the first couple seasons of the show, because that's all Bakugo does. Or maybe Todoroki, a character who literally got scarred for life and was abused by his father. And I am supposed to feel bad for Bakugo? Like, huh? Like, Bakugo was just being an asshole. What do you want me to say? You can't baby him, because literally his actions don't make sense when you compare it to other characters, because other characters have suffered worse. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Bakugo is a bad character. I'm more so criticizing a lot of people that defend My Hero Academia and Bakugo as a character. Because you are allowed to make asshole characters, you just can't be going around trying to justify everything they did and pretend that they did nothing wrong. It's literally my issue with people that try to justify Dobby becoming a villain. When, no, he became a villain, he had issues. I don't know why you guys are acting like he didn't. Like I said, he still became a villain. There was many other outlets he could have done, but he just decided to become a villain. I don't know what to tell you. That's a whole different video. Or we could talk about a character like Stolas from Hell of a Boss, for example, where the show tries so damn hard for you to feel bad for Stolas and make feel like Stolas is the victim in this whole in every situation. When in reality, the show bends over backwards, gets booty effed by the creators of the show just to rewrite what literally happens in the show so that they can say that Stolas was fine when that did not happen. And I do not get why people try so damn hard to justify Stolas as a character, because boy oh boy, he is just an asshole that being an asshole in the show, and they tried to baby him so freaking hard when most of the stuff that he does in the show is not true, he's overreacting, or he's just straight up lying to you, and the story is acting like he is right. And I'm not even gonna talk about this too much, because it is utterly ridiculous how this show tries so hard to make Stolas seem like a victim when he is the person that has the most power in almost every situation with Blitz. But whatever, this isn't this kind of video. And now let's talk about the trauma baby trope or the trauma bully trope done right. And my biggest example that I can provide of the best use of this character trope is House MD, the main character House. If you've seen any clip of House, you know how much of an asshole this guy is. And by the way, House has a reason for why he's doing it, but the show doesn't try to justify House being a dick or an asshole to people. People acknowledge that House is an asshole. The show acknowledges that House is an asshole, but he is charismatic and entertaining, and that is not his only character trait. Like, if I'm watching it up, like, literally I can predict most of Jax's dialogue in almost most of the Amazing Digital Circus is literally just, haha, Ragatha, kill yourself, ha ha ha. Pomni, could die. Ha ha ha. Gangle, strangle yourself and hang yourself. Lamau. XOXO. Cringe face. Lamau. Or Bakugo in like the early seasons of My Hero Academia is just screaming die 50% of the time. And then you have House, who is actually a charismatic, entertaining character whose whole personality, while is being an asshole, he is actually entertaining to watch and is actually funny. And his whole gimmick is that while he is an asshole, but he does other stuff and that he's not actually a terrible person. But compared to a character like Jax, whose literally whole gimmick is just to being an asshole to everyone else. And that is that makes Jax so one-dimensional. It makes him such a simple character when everyone tries to make Jax into this seemingly multi-layered character because he has trauma to explain it. And the funny part is, House has trauma. House is a character that has issues, and the show does dive into it. But the show never goes so far to say, oh, it's okay for House to be an asshole because of what he went through. No, it is not a justification. It's an explanation. which is what the trauma baby trope should be. It should be a way that that an asshole character is the reasoning why they're the way they are, but is not the justification for why they are the way they are. The show doesn't make it seem like the House is, oh, it's okay for House to be a terrible person and mean to everyone that he talks to. No, the show acknowledges this and even calls House out for it multiple times in almost every episode. But in other shows that I mentioned before, they make that the whole gimmick of the character, and that's all they are, and they're not entertaining or funny because that's all they do. You can predict what they're gonna do and make it very uninteresting. House is entertaining. Jax, his whole gimmick is literally just telling, I want to kill everyone else. Lamau, XD, ha ha ha. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about the trauma baby trope or the trauma bully trope. This is literally like a highly theoretical video that I made. It's more like a topic, and I'm really glad if you made it this far in the video and you made it to the end. I know this isn't my usual video, but I'm experimenting with some ideas, and this has been kind of floating in my brain, especially since I kind of caught up on the Amazing Digital Circus. And yes, I am aware of the leaks and all that stuff. I'm not that kind of channel, so you know, I kind of already know how it's gonna end. So yeah, my opinion on Jax isn't really gonna change. So yeah, I guess. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm really glad. If you have anything to say, tell me in the comments below. I'm really open to hear your opinions on this. Or if you have any questions, I know my videos and the way I talk is very weird. So if you have any questions, you can ask in the comments and I'll try my best to reply. Or at least explain what I mean if you don't understand anything I said. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good night or a good day wherever you are, and stay safe, okay? Bye.